is I'm sure that he's getting advice from his campaign and team not to testify, because if there's one thing we know is that Biden is prone to gaffes. And so he is not just thinking of this in terms of whether or not, he feels it's legitimate for him or for an exploration into his son's actions with Ukraine. He's also thinking of this in terms of his 2020 election.
Well, here's what
which has nothing to do with the impeachment proceeding. And we don't have to look very far back to find an example of how intolerant Democrats are today. You just have to look at Congressman Jeff Van Drew, a longtime, lifelong Democrat who was going to take one vote that wasn't in line with the Democratic Party, and he was pushed out of the party and is now a Republican congressman. So I just find it very hard to believe that I know that Joe Biden wants us to think that he will be this bipartisan person willing to reach across the aisle, but we have to judge the Democratic Party by their actions, not just the things that they say. And right now, they do not really seem to be the party of tolerance.
Ronica, what about the lack of diversity? Because there's been a lot said about that. I was actually talking to Jamu Green yesterday in reference to, what we see standing up on the stage right now when it comes to the Democratic candidates. Does that need to be considered?
I think that diversity should always be considered and valued, but I also don't think that we should ever consider it at the expense of what makes the most sense for either party, right? The Democrats are the party of identity politics, where they put these groupings as more valuable than the actual person. I certainly want to be valued as more than just my gender or my sex. I want to be valued as a person who contributes something meaningful, no matter what you put the identity, box around me to be. So I think that's always been to the disadvantage of the Democrats. Ideologically, it's important, and it is something that we should execute in practice, but they do it in such a way that they miss the point.
Yeah. So run on.